Hello, everyone. Welcome to this presentation on doing what you love and finding and living your passion. I'm so excited to be here with you. If you're jumping on and you want to just say hello in the chat, that would be wonderful. And we're going to get started. So here is what you can expect today in our half hour together. We are going to be talking about how to incorporate more of your passions into your day-to-day life, whether that's a new hobby, maybe volunteering, maybe a side hustle, maybe up-leveling your current role at your job. It can look very different for different people, but today is going to be about exploring what would that look like for you if you were living more of your passions. So we're going to talk about how to discover what you are really passionate about. You might have some ideas, you might not be sure, but I'm going to lead you through a little practice that's going to help you to get clear on that. We're going to talk about the power of deciding and really implementing what we talk about today. And then we're going to talk about how to manage any overwhelm around incorporating more of your passions into your life and how to identify what is that next step for you that's going to lead to you living more of your purpose and living more of your passions and just going through your life with more of that sense of fulfillment and meaning. So if that sounds good, we're going to get started. Hello, Karen. Hello, Lee. Welcome. You're welcome. Okay, so before we get started, I just want to give a quick invitation to be really present during this. If you can put away distractions, if you have your phone out, if you need to close your door, whatever you need to do just to allow yourself to kind of ground in and be really present for this presentation so that you can get the most out of it. I also invite you to grab some paper. So if you have a notebook or something like that around, we're going to do a little bit of a writing exercise. So you might want to grab something like that. And then as we go, I really encourage you to participate in the chat. So as ideas come up, as we're going through the exercise, share in the chat with us what's coming up for you. Not only is that a really great way for you to get the most out of it, but it's also really beneficial for other people here in the space to gain something from your comments. So please feel free to participate in the chat. So on behalf of HPHC and Tufts, I am Ashley. I'll just give a really brief intro. So I have my master's degree in mental health counseling and psychology. And when I was in college, I started a self-love blog following my own passion, and that's turned into a full-time online coaching business. I'm also the host of the Follow Your Light podcast. Fun fact, I live in New Hampshire, and I'm really passionate about this topic because it was through following my own passions that I created a business that I love. And so whether or not you're actually thinking about starting a business or some kind of side hustle or just hobbies, I'm really, really passionate about helping you to find out what you're passionate about. And here's what I believe about passion and just life in general. I really believe that we have to follow what lights us up. And so I'm talking about the things that excite us, those things that we feel drawn to, those things that we feel passionate about in life. They're not random. And I really believe, and I found it to be true in my own life, just my own personal experience, that through following the things that light us up and the things that we're passionate about, that really does guide us on a path of more fulfillment and towards our soul purpose and to just living in more alignment with what feels good, right? Which isn't that a part of life and what it means to live a really great life. So I wanted to start out kind of talking about purpose and exploring what that means, because it means something different for everybody, right? So a couple of things that I believe about purpose, and you can kind of think about if you feel these ways too. I believe that you can have more than one purpose at a time. So for some of you, it might be being a mom or being a parent. For some of you, part of your passion, part of your purpose might be your current role at work. It might be something like sharing art or music with others, maybe creative expression or health. So I think that we can always have more than one purpose. And I always believe that our purpose can change and evolve over time as well. And so I want you to start out by thinking, and you can share in the chat if you'd like to, what comes to mind for you when you think about your current purpose or passion? And again, maybe you have several, maybe you're not sure, maybe to you, again, like being a parent, maybe your role at work. What first comes to you when you think about your current purpose or passion? Okay, I see some service to others, mentoring. Yeah, that's great. And then another question for you to consider and share in the chat is, on a scale of 1 to 10, with 10 being, I feel like I'm living my passion and my purpose every single day. And then 1 being, I feel like I'm really not. I feel like I'm really far off my path. Where do you fall in the moment? 1 to 10. No judgment here. This is just about bringing awareness to where you feel you are right now. Lee says creative outlet. 8, 3, 5, 6, 5. Okay, so I see a lot of people somewhere in the middle. Yep. Okay, great. Good. So one of our goals during this presentation is, how can we take that number and even just bump it up 1 or 2 or 3 so that you are feeling like in your day-to-day life, you are living more of your purpose and more of your passion, doing more of what you love. So another question I want you to think about is, how do you actually know when you're living in your purpose or following your passion? This isn't always a topic of conversation. And so you might not have ever even really thought about this before. So this is your chance to actually think about it. What does it feel like to me when I'm living in my purpose? What does it feel like to me when I'm living in my passion? So some things that might come up for you, and you can share too, if any of these really speak to you, or if something else comes up for you. You might feel like, when I'm in my purpose, when I'm living my passion, I just feel like I'm lost in the creative flow, or I just lose track of time. I'm enjoying myself so much. Maybe there's some kind of connection to a greater purpose or a higher power. Maybe it feels a certain way in your body. Maybe it feels like joy or just genuine contentment, presence. Maybe it's like, I feel like I'm doing something meaningful, or I'm helping others, or I'm helping myself. So for you, how do you know when you're actually living in your purpose? What does that feel like for you? Yeah, that's a great point. You're excited about starting your day and getting out of bed. Yeah, absolutely. So what we're going to do now is we're going to do a simple self-assessment. And so this is where, if you have a piece of paper, take that out, even, your laptop or your phone, something that you can write and make a little list. And here's step 1. We're going to make a list, and I invite you to brainstorm as many activities or moments in time where you felt that way, where you felt excited to get out of bed, or where you were just so in the moment. You're having fun, you're helping others, you feel connected to your purpose. When did that happen for you? And I want you to just brainstorm as many things as you can think of. You can think of this in terms of both present time, so thinking lately, the last few months or the last year, and you can also think back further, because sometimes thinking about, what did I most enjoy in my childhood, sometimes that can really bring some insight as well. So I'm going to give you a minute or two to reflect on this. And I actually have some journal prompts to help. So you can think about, when in my life have I felt most connected to my purpose? What really lights me up? What makes me excited? What makes me excited to get out of bed? What did I love to do as a child? And so we'll take just a couple minutes here and just list out some things that you can think of. Don't overthink it either. And I'll give you about a 30-second warning before we come back. So we'll take about 30 more seconds. All right, and coming on back, and I know I didn't give you that much time, but this is something that you can go back to later and really take some more time with it, and I really encourage you to do that. And so these are a few examples of things that came up for me. Maybe some of yours are similar, maybe some of them are different, but when I was thinking about this exercise, things like writing and speaking, creating something artistically, being in nature, playing and listening to music, coaching calls and supporting others. I know a couple other people mentioned that, service to others. So what we're going to do next is take a look at your list. And I want you to pick one that you feel really drawn to, one that when you look at it and you think about it, there's just a lot of passion or excitement or interest around that thing. You might feel like this sense of, I really want to explore that more, or I would really like to have more moments in my days connected to that. And maybe there's several things on your list that you feel this way about, but we're just going to pick one for now. And if you can share in the chat, what is that one thing that you're focused on right now? What did you pick? Let us know. And that can give other people ideas as well. So what we're going to do next. Oh, great. Somebody says going somewhere new. Yeah, sense of adventure. Connecting others with others regularly. Yes. Learning something new, trying it. Great. Yeah. So what we're going to do now is take this thing and ask yourself, what might it look like if I was to take one first step to incorporating more moments of that into my day or into my week or into my month? Tiffany says activities that leave me feeling empowered, planning a trip, travel. Yeah. And so we're going to take the first step. And I really want to keep this simple for you because oftentimes we think about our passions, we think about our interests, and then it feels overwhelming, right? And so this is why we're really breaking it down here. We're just focusing on one thing, and then we're focusing on what is that first step. And I'm going to give you some examples of this. So for example, let's say writing is something that you're really passionate about. You know you love to do it, but maybe you don't really do it as often as you'd like to do. So maybe your first step is writing the first page of that children's book that you've been saying you want to write. Or maybe it's making a commitment. I'm going to journal every day for 5 minutes. Or maybe it's buying a course that you find online on how to start a blog. Or maybe it's researching in your area. Are there any creative writing classes I can join? So that's just one example of what could that first initial action be? If I'm committed to this thing up here, what is one small thing I can do, that first action step? Another example here is, let's say the thing that you picked was up-leveling your role in your career. Maybe you feel really passionate about that. So maybe your first action step is setting up a meeting with your supervisor to have a conversation about it. Maybe it's enrolling to get some kind of certificate or a new skill. Or maybe it's simply just sitting down and talking to somebody that has the role that you want to have, right? So see, we're really going simple here. One small first step. And then one last example here for you is, let's say, more time in nature or taking better care of your body. Maybe that's the thing that you feel most passionate about right now. Maybe that first step for you would be going and getting that yoga membership. Maybe it would be talking to some like-minded people and maybe creating some kind of hiking group where you all, go hiking together and help keep yourselves accountable. Maybe that feels exciting. Maybe it's setting a goal to run a half marathon. What is that one simple first step that you can take? So again, we really want to break this down and we want to simplify, especially this time of year. If you're watching here live, a lot of us are thinking about goals and intentions, but again, it can feel so overwhelming when we think about the things that we want and the ways that we want to live more in our purpose. So we really want to simplify and break this down. So a couple of you said going somewhere new, planning a trip. What would be the first step to that? Would it be maybe researching places that you want to go, or writing down what your dream vacation would be, or maybe researching flights? What is that first step for you? Which brings me to the power of deciding. And so it's one thing for you to say, that would be really nice and I would really like to try that. And then it's another thing to decide and to commit and to actually follow through. Those are two very, very, very different things, right? There is so much power in your ability to decide. And so I don't want you to just watch this presentation and do a little bit of thinking and dreaming and then forget about it. I want you to commit and choose one little action step and then actually go and implement it, because that's the only way you're going to see results. And then you also don't need, this is one of my favorite quotes. I don't know even where I heard this or where it came from, but it's a powerful mindset reminder. You don't need to see the whole staircase in order to take the first step. And really what this means, so many people hold back from starting a new hobby, from starting the new side hustle, from starting that activity, because they can't see the whole staircase. Right? They can't see exactly how it's going to go. They don't see all of the steps. Often this is a fear of the unknown, right? Well, I'm afraid to take that first step because what if I'm not successful? What if I start the new hobby and then it doesn't really work out? What if I start the business and then I hear crickets? That's normal. But we also get to trust that when we take that first step, that little tiny micro action that we're talking about, that the next step will be revealed. And then the next step will be revealed. And then the next step will be revealed. So for example, when I started my blog, I had no idea what I was doing. I had no tech experience, but I just felt like, I love to write. I want to help people. It's something that just kept coming up for me. I kept reading stories of other people that were blogging. And I finally just decided, you know what? I don't know. I don't even know what I'm doing, but I want to do this. And so I bought the website, and that was my first step. And I didn't know what the next step would be. I didn't know what the step was going to be after that. But I trusted that once I take that first step, I'll figure it out. And then I'll figure it out again. And then I'll just keep figuring it out. And I have, and I've grown a business that way. And so it works the same thing with everything else. So we get to take that first step, even though we may not be able to see the whole staircase. Yeah, we crawl before we walk. Exactly. And if we wait to see the whole staircase, we'll probably just never get started in the first place. So it takes some courage and it takes some bravery to step out of your comfort zone and be willing to live a life where you are living more of your purpose and your passion. And so I really encourage you to think about, what is that one small thing for you? And what is that thing that you're going to decide and you're going to walk away from this workshop and go implement it? And I encourage you to write it down or share it in the chat as a way to hold yourself accountable. And if you're not sure, this is a great time, because we have a few minutes left, for you to share in the chat. What is that thing for you? And then we can kind of brainstorm together what that first step may look like. Yeah, so I see reaching out to a local shelter to volunteer. Amazing. Yeah, and so maybe the first step is, if you already know what the local shelter is, then calling them, or maybe it's just researching. Sometimes just researching is the first step. Yeah, and so then if you said connecting with others regularly, what would it look like to take that first step to do that more regularly? Maybe it's putting in your calendar every Monday, I am going to call my friend, or I'm going to make a note to text my friend. Or maybe once a month, I'm going to have like a girls' dinner night and get all my friends together, and we're going to, have a book club or have dinner. So, what could be that one little thing be to make sure that you're not just saying, oh, I would like to have that, but that you're actually putting it in your calendar or taking some concrete steps to do that? Looking at flights. Yeah, so exciting. Amazing. Looking at flights, looking at hotels, starting to plan what that might look like. Go to the library to focus on the research. Yeah. And one note about research is that what I found just in my own experience of following my passions is that sometimes we can get stuck in the research phase, and it can prevent us from actually taking action. So we just want to be self-aware and research. If you're starting a blog, if you're starting a side hustle, if you're going to take that vacation, do the research, look into it, learn, but then don't get stuck there, because it can be easy to self-sabotage and stay so focused on the research and the learning and the consuming of the information that we don't actually take the action. So sometimes it's actually just about researching, learning, soaking in the information, and then even before you feel ready to book that flight, even before you feel ready to start that website, even before you feel ready to do that thing that maybe feels a little scary or a little out of your comfort zone, just doing it afraid, doing it before you feel ready. I love that. Research some local meetup groups with similar interests. Yeah, yes, yeah. Support collaboration. Self-care, 30 minutes a day of healthy me time and movement. I mall walked last night. Yes. Amazing. Right. And it gets to be simple. I love that you said 30 minutes a day, because sometimes we can have this mindset of it all or nothing, especially when it comes to goal setting, right? It's like, well, if I want the results, then I have to completely change my life and go all in. And actually, sometimes it's really just about, how can I incorporate really small actions in a really short amount of time? 30 minutes a day of self-care, 10 minutes a day, 5 minutes a day of writing, one recurring appointment in your calendar every week to check in with a friend. Just little tiny things make a difference and they add up. 20-minute mile. Amazing. Great. Let's see if there was anything else. So here are your next steps. So we didn't take a ton of time to do the journaling. So I would really encourage you to go back. I believe you'll have the replay to this, but you can also just do it on your own. Spend some more time brainstorming. You can take those journal prompts that we talked about earlier. What brings you most passion? What did you love to do as a kid? What excites you? What brings you joy? And spend some time actually sitting with those, because we didn't take too much time with that. So I would really encourage you to think a little bit deeper and to think about some moments in time where you really felt passionate and you really felt like you were living your purpose. Write those things down. Again, also going back to your childhood, sometimes there's clues there. And then consider what other activities. So we just talked about one activity today. Maybe highlight or circle 3 or 4. What are the things that you've been drawn to lately? The things that keep coming up in your awareness. I always think of those as our intuition speaking to us. When you have that thing that just keeps coming up. So for me, in my example earlier of my blog, for me, it was, I keep thinking about starting a blog. It's like it kept coming up, and I would hear somebody say something about it, and then it would come up over here, and then I'd read an article, and it just kept coming up in my awareness. So you might have something like that for yourself, where it's like you keep thinking about that one vacation or that one destination you want to go to. You keep thinking about, wouldn't it be fun to start up a book club or a hiking club? Or wouldn't it be really cool if I started a side business making jewelry or pottery? When those things keep coming up for you, it's not to be ignored. It's coming up for a reason. And so then take those activities, decide what your first step will be. Remember that you don't need to see the whole staircase. You only need to know, what is that first step? And then you need to decide. Remember, we talked about the power of actually deciding, committing, putting it in your calendar, writing it down, taking the action, following through, and making it happen. And then over time, this is how I really believe that we live more in our purpose. So it doesn't always happen overnight. It's not just about taking one action and then all of a sudden you're living a happier life, but it is consistency, choosing again and again and again to stretch outside your comfort zone, to take the actions that you know are going to get you closer to that goal, deciding over and over and over, even when you're not sure, even when you don't feel ready, over and over and over. This is a daily practice, a weekly practice, a monthly practice. And then a year from now, where could you be? Even a month or two from now, where could you be? It's just about the consistency and dedication to doing this, following these 4 steps over and over and over and over. Yeah, awesome. So we just have a couple minutes left. If anybody has any questions, thoughts, takeaways, if you didn't share what your action is going to be and you want to share, let us know here in the chat, or ask anything that's coming up for you. And that is all that I have for slides for you today. To get outside each day. Yeah, that's a great one. So simple, but it really is often the most simple things that can bring us the most joy. Yeah, anything else coming up for anybody? This is so great. So many action steps. I love it. Awesome. 30 minutes well spent for my mental health, my first step. Yeah, that's a great point. Even just being here and thinking about these things and committing to the journaling and committing to turning inward in itself, that's an action step. So be proud, celebrate yourself for even being here, for even considering these things. Most people don't take the time. So definitely celebrate yourself for even taking this time. And I hope that you incorporate this. I hope that you make some decisions. I hope that you have an incredible year ahead. And I'm really excited for you. You're welcome. You're welcome. Awesome. So excited for you. Yeah, I'm glad that was a great reminder to take that first step. Just got to get started. You're welcome. I hope you all have an amazing rest of your day and of your week.